Let's visit the 90s all over again. Put on those hammer pants. This is Dope Nostalgia.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 224 of Dope Nostalgia Podcast. And I'm your host, Naomi. We're kicking off the year with some really exciting stuff happening, especially in Western Canada, because live in concert this week is the 90s Dance Mix Tour, hosted by a friend of the show, Rick the Temp. We're also going to have a video dance party by DJ Cav and the big headliners for the show, Fab Morvan from Milli Vanilli, 2 Unlimited, Hathaway, Turbo B from Snap, and Daisy D from Technotronic. The coolest thing about the show, too, is that 3 of the people featured on the Dance Mix Tour have been guests on this podcast. So I cannot wait to see them live. Hopefully we'll get to talk to them, and it's going to be a great time. So the shows that are still coming up as of this release. January 23rd, they will be in Saskatoon at SaskTel Center. January 24th, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan at their event center. January 25th, Grand Prairie, Alberta. And wrapping up the tour on January 26th right here in Edmonton, Alberta at the Expo Center Arena. That's where we want to see you guys. If you're there, come say hi to me. I'd love to meet you. Love to talk to you about the podcast and all that good stuff. So today's episode is with one of our former guest, who's always so welcome on the show because he's so much fun to talk to and his social media is incredible. Now, we had a little scare with TikTok for our American listeners this week, right? But John G has a very successful TikTok channel, JONG. You can check him out on TikTok as well as Instagram. You can find him on both platforms. And he's back to talk about one of the biggest groups that came out of the late 90s and early 2000s from the UK. S Club 7, now known as S Club. Let's get you a little bit more background information on S Club.
Wikipedia moment.
Please bear in mind that Wikipedia is not to be taken as actual 100% fact. Any donkey could edit it at any time. If I'm reading you the artist bio, that stuff is real truth.
S Club, formerly known as S Club 7, are a British pop group formed in 1998 by Simon Fuller after he was fired as manager of the Spice Girls. Original members were Tina Barrett, Paul Cattermole, John Lee, Bradley McIntosh, Joe O'Meara, Hannah Spirit, and Rachel Stevens. Cattermole left the group in 2002. It disbanded in 2003. After the members performed solo and in smaller groups, the group reunited temporarily for a short tour in 2015. In 2023, the group reunited and announced a tour. However, Cattermole died of heart failure, and Spirit withdrew from the group before the tour. The band has sold more than 10 million albums worldwide. They won Brit Awards in 2000 for British Breakthrough Act and in 2002 for Best British Single. In 2001, they earned the Record of the Year award. The group has released 4 studio albums: S Club in 1999, 2000 brought us the album 7, Sunshine in 2001, and Seeing Double in 2002. They had commercial success with songs including Bring It All Back, You're My Number One, 2 in a Million, S Club Party, Reach, Natural, Never Had a Dream Come True, Don't Stop Moving, You, Have You Ever, Alive, and Love Ain't Gonna Wait for You. In July 2023, S Club released their first new single in more than 20 years. These Are the Days, in memory of Paul. According to the British phonographic industry, the group has been certified for sales of 2.8 million albums and 4.6 million singles in the UK. Now, this is how the band got together. Of course, Simon Fuller was the guy who created them after he was fired as manager of the Spice Girls. He described S Club 7 as a continuation of ideas he had for the Spice Girls, but with a softer, more uplifting image, and the same songwriting team was used for both acts. Fuller placed an advert in The Stage and held auditions with more than 10,000 applicants. Both Joe and Paul were spotted by producers from Fuller's company, 19 Management, and asked to audition. Rachel was the only member who did not audition. Instead, two producers approached her and asked her to record a demo tape. According to journalist Stephen Poole, after Fuller's disagreements with the Spice Girls, he picked the blandest, most malleable characters. Nice kids who wouldn't answer back. Once the lineup was decided, the members flew to Italy to become acquainted with each other. Stevens remarked that the group felt comfortable with each other from the beginning. Several members of the group said that the S in S Club stands for Simon, after the group's creator, although the official explanation of the meaning has always been ambiguous. At one point, they were nearly called Sugar Club instead of the name that stuck. Another theory is that the group is so named because S is the first letter of the word seven. McIntosh, in a December 2012 interview, said, "A lot of Fuller's success has been based on the number 19. Therefore, as S is the 19th letter of the alphabet, the S was also put into S Club 7. Let's welcome my special guest today. You can check him out on Instagram and TikTok. Welcome back, John G, to Dope Nostalgia.
What's up? How are you?
Things are good. Things are really good. And I have been watching your last few months here and all the cool things you've gotten to do that I wanted to start the show talking about all these experiences you've had. Like you've been on some red carpets. And then I saw that you just recently interviewed Magic, which is super cool. Nasri and the group. So Tell me about the last few months. What's been going on?
Yeah, no, thank you again for having me. Always love your channel and supporting you. And we can talk about more of your view later. But my summer has been really good. I went on a few trips. I attended a few different events. And I guess the highlight probably was TIFF, which you mentioned. First time ever attending. TIFF for me, I'm not a big movie guy, to be honest. But luckily this year, it all lined up where, I'm really kind of growing into my own with this social media thing and my channel. And it just so happened that a lot of music movies were featured this year. A lot of Canadian artists were featured. So I got to interview Randy Bachman, excuse me, from BTO, of course. And now I forget the other band he was in. Of course, that was another huge band. So people don't kill me.
Bachman Turner Overdrive?
No, so I said, yeah.
The Guess Who.
Guess Who. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. So that was a great experience. I interview, I mean, I don't know if it's controversial because there's an accusation. It's not Kanon. If you remember Kanon with Wave and Flag, there's a story out there. Anyways, nothing's happened yet, but there's a story.
Okay.
But I also, what else? Oh yeah, another cool experience was I interviewed Sukyin Lee, former music VJ, of course, she's been a documentarian or filmmaker for decades now. People maybe don't realize. And so she put out just long story short, this has to be one of the craziest stories. It's based on a true story. She lived with her then boyfriend, and then she was no longer in love with him. They stayed together in the same place, apartment, and then he decided to start having sex with prostitutes while they were still living together, and just documents that whole experience. And they are still good friends, and he was there at the premiere with her. So just crazy, that's a thing.
I want to see this. That's a great documentary.
Yeah, it's called Paying for It. I know she's doing the rounds all over Canada. I've seen her through her social media. And then, I got to interview on the red carpet. I got to interview Robbie Williams, which I don't know if he was huge in Canada, but of course, huge in the UK. For those who don't.
I would say he was pretty big in his solo career. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And he was really, I was also very lucky. I was the last person to interview him, and then they had to rush him off. So I was like, thank God I got it, So that was really cool. And other than that, I saw a few movies. I saw the Saturday Night Live movie, SNL. That was like the first night of its premiere. And then, just being in that, that whole atmosphere, of course. I know some people love to stargaze. Me personally, I'm not into that, but I have a good friend that went down. Shout out Renisha, I'll just say. And she got a video of J-Lo and a video with Matt Damon and got millions of views. So it's just, there's a lot going on. It's just a great atmosphere in the city. So have you ever been, or would you like to go to TIFF?
I'd love to. I've only been to Toronto outside of the airport once, and it was like 20 years ago. So other than that, it's always just been my layover spot, unfortunately. But yeah.
That's fair. Other than that, I guess summertime. I'm thinking, oh yeah, Finger 11. They were like put into some Hall of Fame or whatever, and I got to see. I
Oh,
didn't get to interview them, but I got to see them, which was still a great experience for the first time. What else did I do? Oh yeah, Osheaga. Went to Osheaga. It just happened to line up perfectly where my a really good friend of mine was getting married in Montreal because that's where I'm from originally. So I got to see my family. I got to go to my friend's wedding, and I got to go to Osheaga for free. Can't really. It's amazing. So
I love all these great opportunities you've been having. Oh, that's
no, it's.
incredible.
I'm very grateful. I always kind of laugh about it because, like, on one end, social media is this weird thing where people will look at numbers. They'll say, you have this following or likes or whatever. And, like, okay, this means you're going to provide something for us or it's going to guarantee. It just, I'm just there to, like, have a good time, to be honest, and just put out good content. Like, yes, of course, I want my stuff to get views, but at the same time, I'm just having a good time with it. Yes, I would like it to lead to something maybe professionally, but for now, it's really, I'm just so passionate about it. And I hope to keep it that way because the last thing I want to do is get burnt out, sorry. Because if I get burnt out and worry about numbers and all that shit, the analytics, I won't want to do it anymore. So I'm
Mhm.
really enjoying it. And I look forward to, what other opportunities I have. So
It's very obvious when we watch your videos and posts that you love what you do. And that's very much like what's the word? Contagious. So I really
yeah.
enjoyed that. And hey, I was going to ask you too. Have you heard anything about the Much Music documentary 299 Queen Street West and what's going on with that?
Great question. God, so that was supposed to be literally a year ago now. It was supposed to be released in December of last
Mhm.
year. It turns out, I guess it was because they didn't have the proper music right. They didn't have the music rights or the rights to the music in the documentary.
Mhm.
So clearly, there was some issue. Although the was it Sean Menard, the
Mhm.
director, he, I guess maybe he thought he can get away with it. I don't know the whole story, but when I spoke to Rick, I believe, or someone a few months ago, they made it sound like it's close to being released. So obviously, fingers crossed, because yes, I got to see it. But it would be such a shame if, like, every other Canadian didn't get to, because again, it was a part of our history, a part of our culture. So hopefully it'll be released, but I don't have any update for you. So
It was really a brilliant documentary. I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm hoping the same success for it as have you seen the Mr. Dress Up documentary?
I haven't. No, did you?
Yes, I believe it was on Prime Video, if I can remember correctly, but it won like all the awards. At the Canadian Screen Awards, it won Best Documentary, so it was well deserved. I'm hoping the same kind of success can happen for this documentary when it can finally come out. So, yes.
Yes, we'll see. So yeah, and then the rest of the year obviously is not a little quieter than the summer, but I work for this company that provides like rentals for events. So a lot of holiday parties coming up. So I should be pretty busy. It's already starting next week. So yeah,
Mhm.
get ready.
Well, we're here today to talk about a very, very famous British pop group that it was really big when you were younger. How old were you when you first heard of S Club 7?
I was still an old man. I'm not a baby. Don't forget. I
I
am.
always assume I am ancient compared to you.
So I was born in 1987, for those who don't know, which means I am now, my birthday's in October. So I just turned 37. And so when they came out in the late 90s. So yeah, I was young, obviously. Now I was like 11, 12 years old. So I think I would say I was probably like the perfect demographic around, for them. It was like
Yeah.
very bubblegum pop S Club. They do go by S Club now, for those who don't know. Of course, S Club 7, but we could talk about it, of course. But Paul, he unfortunately passed away not that long ago, actually, last year in 2023. And then because of that, and for other reasons, Hannah, another member, she was no longer a part of them. So they went from S Club 7 to just S Club. So S Club 5 probably wouldn't sound right, which is why they just dropped the number.
Hmm. It
So
makes sense though to just say S Club because like even in that one song, they just say S Club, and
yeah.
it just flows. It works. But it's very
Yeah.
unfortunate that they lost Paul at such a young age. He had developed some heart issues.
Yeah, he had a few issues with his heart. Really sad, like you said. I mean, he was in his mid 40s, I believe, very young.
Hmm.
And I love it. I urge people to go on YouTube because he was like, I don't know him personally, but he seemed like a just genuinely nice, outgoing, funny person. And there's a great video that I recommend. It's like 4 minutes. There's a show that maybe you've heard of. It's like they have different versions all over Canada and the US. It's like a blind date show where they go to a restaurant and it's a blind date, first date, and he was on it. And this was like only a few years ago when he was beyond S Club. And every time people ask him, and even the date was like, he mentioned like, yeah, I used to do music, and he's kind of bashful and humble about it. He doesn't brag about it. But then he's like, yeah, I was in a band. They're like, which band? He goes, S Club 7. You just see first the bartender, he's like, oh, and then his date was like, oh my God. So that said a lot. That tells you a lot about his personality and character, that he didn't, again, like brag about it too much, but he was still very proud of it. And then they obviously loved him so much that they even made a song in tribute of him and tribute for him. Only a year ago it came out, and now I'm drawing a blank what it's called, but
It's called These Are the Days.
there you go. You're prepared. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
I have Wikipedia open in front of me. That's all. But
Exactly.
yeah, no, I mean, it's lovely that they did that song to tribute. And so they went ahead with their reunion tour, just missing, of course, with Hannah. It really hit Hannah hard because they dated for a very long time.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know that they actually dated. So that was news to me. And I guess now that you mention it, speaking of the tour, I had the pleasure of going to the tour to one of their shows. It feels like it was so long ago, but it was earlier this year. And another good friend of mine, she went as well, Laura, who's a diehard fan. She even got a meet and greet with them. Um,
Oh,
what was so special about that show, and like maybe other nostalgia bands, is like every song like took you back in time. And they have, people maybe don't realize, but they had a few, like a bunch of hits in my opinion. I could name, I would say 9 or 10 at least of their songs, that are really, and they're all really catchy. And the other thing, what I love about them, and people maybe don't think of, is that most, if not all, of their music is very uplifting, very positive. If you really listen to the lyrics and just the sound of each song, the production, very uplifting. And I think that's something that we don't have enough of, and we should have more of. And I've talked about
mhm.
this with other people, like Simone Denny from Love Inc. Her big song Superstar. It's super positive and uplifting. And so it doesn't shock me that when I go back and listen to S Club or S Club 7, it always makes me happy and smile, because it truly is just fun, uplifting music. And so that's something I really appreciate about them. And again, going to see them live, it was amazing and just brought me back. And everyone was just singing their heart out the entire night. So great experience.
Yeah, they were definitely such a positive influence on youth, and their show was in heavy rotation on Much Music back when, like, that time at Much Music is kind of when the transition was happening into more television related programming, like
Was it?
scripted shows.
I want to say, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I saw it, maybe it was on YTV as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe it was on Much More Music.
Maybe it's very possible. Speaking of all that, did you hear now they're officially closing down, was it MTV Canada? Like,
Yeah,
channel, which is not shocking because it's nowhere near as what it used to be, right? So
I actually didn't know it still existed, to be honest. I thought it was over a long time
exactly,
ago.
exactly that's why. So
Mhm.
it is what it is. It's sad, but it had to be done, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, S Club, they sold more than 10 million albums, which is quite impressive. And the amount of Brit Awards they won, and like
Yeah.
they had, I think their hugest breakthrough hit, though, that hit North America hard, was off the second album called Never Had a Dream Come True, which was my favorite song by them.
That is a great song. You could argue a few songs. That is a great song. I mean, even their first big song, and the video is iconic. S Club Party, just again, an iconic video. But yeah,
Mhm.
Never Had a Dream Come True. I made a video about that song, and it samples another song. And now again, I'm drawing a blank as always, but I made a video about that, and it's very similar intros with like the guitar, I guess. Oh yeah, Elliot Yamin. Remember Elliot Yamin? Baby, I will
Yes.
wait for you, or wait for you.
American Idol.
American Idol, for those who don't know. That, by the way, I don't know why, but that song to me is like top 5 songs from an American Idol contestant, in my opinion, of all time. It's
Who's
really
fantastic.
good. It's just so good. So again, if you go back and listen to the intro and the entire song of "Wait for You" by Ellie Yamin and "Never Had a Dream Come True" by S Club, it's the exact same, and people are like, "Holy shit!" So
I
yeah.
never made the connection at all.
Not to toot my own horn, but luckily I have a knack for when I hear something, I could usually trace it back to another song. So that's just like a little fun fact. Um, but yeah, like I said, they had a lot of good songs, and even like some like odes to disco. One for me is "Love Ain't Gonna Wait for You." It's a very catchy dance song. They even did a cover of "We're gonna da, 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 da." Sorry. It's another song that they did a cover of. So you put this pressure on me, and I can't think of anything.
No, don't worry.
I'm kidding.
um, but the thing that people might not know is that S Club 7 was formed by the same creator as the Spice Girls.
Which, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because so Simon Fuller, creator. So first, apparently he got fired by the Spice Girls for whatever reason, and then he took on S Club 7. Now, first of all, people always wondered, what does the S stand for? And funny enough, I actually was on a TikTok live just on my own the other night, and someone asked me and I was talking about S Club. He's like, what does S stand for? There's no like definitive reason or like what it stands for, but some of the theories are Simon Fuller apparently attributes a lot of his success to the number 19, including his it's like 19 Management or whatever his name of his company,
Mhm.
and the 19th letter is S. That's one reason. The other one is at 7 in S Club 7. The first letter is S. Whatever, maybe that, And I don't know I think there was another one for maybe why it was called S Club, but at the end of
Simon Club 7.
yeah, they thought it was named after Simon, which it's like wouldn't be shocking, but also just kind of weird. But maybe
Maybe
he
a little narcissistic.
very narcissistic, and also from what you see in videos, it sounds like he took most of their money. Unfortunately, like Hannah said, she was homeless, and there's even interviews on YouTube where the interviewer, and it was not the most appropriate thing, but she brought up money, and it's like, hey, like, did you are you guys are rich, aren't you? And they're like, not really. So it sounds like there was some shady stuff, which doesn't shock me because, as you know, like literally every band, especially every successful band, has had issues with their management, and they've been taken advantage of. Look at the biggest ones like Backstreet or NSYNC, of course, with Lou Pearlman,
Mm-hmm.
and many other examples. So on one end, yeah, he created this amazing band and very smart, intelligent guy, but I'm sure he's done some shady stuff as well. So, but yeah. And then I was saying, going back to Spice Girls, if you think about it, he founded them, but then he also had a movie. They made a movie, Spice World. They had a show with S Club. It's called Miami 7. So again, it makes sense that he's behind all that.
So when they first came out, they were the Miami 7. I think that's what happened.
As a band, were they? I don't know that. Maybe.
Yeah, it came out in 1999, and it was considered a children's television series, Miami 7. So they were playing fictional versions of themselves. They went on adventures and performed songs on each episode. Then they changed it to S Club 7 in Miami as the title. And then at some point, oh yeah, that's when they finally became like S Club and hit it in England after that.
I'm trying now. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if the show came first. I assume the music came first. Maybe I could be very wrong. So
yeah, the show came first, and also I guess it was broadcast on BBC before it was ever broadcast in America.
Of course. Yeah.
But America came. S Club 7 in Miami was out on Fox Family's network. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know. I feel like maybe it was more popular. They were more popular in Canada than the US, maybe. Although, of course, they did a tour in the US just because it's a bigger country than us. But like I said, they have a lot of fans here. And in Toronto, it was at like a medium-sized venue, but I'm pretty sure it was sold out. It was a lot of people had costumes. I was very impressed by what was it? So the song in S Club Party near the end, we're like Hoochie Mama, show your nana, and the women had on their shirts just said Hoochie Mama. So hilarious. So yeah.
just finally taking hold. When it feels like the beginning and the story will unfold. Now's the time to take your chances. Don't be scared of the unknown. Oh, 'cause you can fight it, don't deny it. Love is stronger than each other. Show me, baby, what you're gonna do. Love ain't gonna wait for you. Don't hide. Love ain't gonna wait for you. So good, so right. Love ain't gonna wait for you. You know when it's true. Love ain't gonna wait for you.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hi. If you enjoy Dope Nostalgia, thank you. Consider becoming a Patreon subscriber today for as little as $1 a month. It helps keep the show on the air and rolling. So if you want to check out our Patreon, it's at patreon.com/dope nostalgia. $1 a month, and you'll be helping support one of your favorite podcasts.
Hey, everybody, I'm Rick Campanelli, and you're listening to the Dope Nostalgia Podcast.
Hello! Live Through That is back for another season, and what a great season of stories we've got planned for you. I keep calling it our Legends season with folks like Steve Diggle from the Buzzcocks,
Now I know the meaning of death, but now I also know the meaning of life.
Jerry Casale from Devo,
Am I in the Twilight Zone here? Like, I know what happened, and look at what is being presented.
a personal hero of mine, Colin Moulding from XTC,
I think when you get to our age, you have to really think carefully about how you want to spend your time, because time becomes even more precious, you know.
Barry Andrews from Shriekback, Steve Kilby from The Church,
And despite all the success and music and tours and all of that, I didn't really like being me. And when I had heroin, I liked being me. I was very comfortable.
David Newton from the Mighty Lemon Drops,
It was just kind of mesmerizing and mind blowing. This whole situation that we're in, we're going, and none of us had ever been to London before.
and there'll be more surprises too. Live Through That is available wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and follow so that you'll know the moment a new episode is released, and it's free. And we've got over 50 episodes in the archive for you to listen to now. You can also follow me on Threads at Mike Hipple and Facebook at Mike Hipple Photo, all one word. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Back up! Get your own sandwich! And
Back off! Get your own sandwich!
beautiful lean meat with lettuce and 2 slices of bread. Think fast. Whoa! Ooh. You want to protect that, ladies and gentlemen.
Back off! Get your own
You're
sandwich!
too nice, Kate. Come on.
Back off!
Yeah. Okay, someone's coming in. Boom! You take him out. Boom! Take him out. Sandwiches up. Get your sandwiches up. This is where the kick comes in. Boom! Ha!
Hey, when you've got something this good, protect it. Maple Leaf Lean and Light. It's that good.
Are you taking this seriously, sir?
Everybody's got something they had to leave behind. One regret from yesterday that just seems to grow with time. There's no use looking back or wondering how it could be now or might have been. All this I know, but still I can't find ways to let you go. I never had a dream come true till the day that I found you. Even though I pretend that I moved on, you'll always be my baby. I never found the
were talking about like the fact that they were in an unfair deal and they weren't making the money they should have. And this is something that's happened to so many groups who just, your first instinct is you want to be famous, so you sign the contract without looking at the repercussions of that. There was an interview I'd seen a clip of with Paul, where when he came on the show actually had to buy him wardrobe to wear on the show because he didn't have enough money to buy the clothes.
Wow, that's sad, and I believe that. And that seemed like the reason why he left initially, because of them being treated unfairly. So I totally understand that, and that's a shame again. And people again don't realize. And luckily, only over the last few years has this been brought to the light, where the mistreatment or mismanagement of artists, and because of social media now, things are slowly changing, and not every artist thinks they have to sign with a label. They can be successful as an independent artist. And we've seen it, especially through TikTok, of course, which is just blown up artists. It's just stupid. I think Benson Boone is a big example now. He had his huge song that blew up, and he just won an award was it in the UK? It was like Best New Artist. And he's also nominated Grammy for Best New Artist. So luckily, again, not everyone does have to, sign with a label. It's possible to do it on your own. Yeah, it could be more challenging, but in the long term, it's more rewarding. You obviously get way more out of it, financially at least. So, yeah.
At least you have the control to build a fan base on your own. Whether or not you can market it to millions of people or just a few hundred or 1,000, then at least you're going to build a following.
Yeah, exactly. So, people tend to forget, like, again, they had a lot of songs, whether you realize it or not, but they only were around for 5-ish years, I believe. So I think it was like 98 to like 03, around that maybe. Took a bit of a break. Then they made a little comeback in like, I believe 2015 for this foundation. I don't know if something to do with heart disease, I believe. That was like kind of big because, people love the comebacks. And then they, of course, did their comeback again in last year, 2023. And then they're still touring, although right now they're not. Well, they're still doing some shows I saw. And it sounds like they're going to do more in the new year, hopefully. And I assume, all of them, they're doing their own thing, both with music, but also just some of them have families. So they're focusing on that. And I've actually tried reaching out to a few of them, and I'm still hoping, specifically Jon, because one thing, again, I'm so grateful for with all this social media stuff that I've put out is I've made some friends and some people that have helped me get interviews and stuff. So for instance, this girl named Courtney, who's a diehard fan, she lives actually in the US. I want to say Boston. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I saw her at the show. She came to Toronto. We met there and we've stayed in touch. And she doesn't know them personally, but she's DM'd every member and she's had conversations with them. And so she's tried to help me get an interview with Jon. And so I've been going back and forth with him and his manager. So hopefully it'll happen, because I think, again, it would just be fun to talk to him and just get his insight on his time with S Club and just maybe get some fun facts, so we'll see.
Yeah, that would be really informative. So
yeah, I don't know how busy they are now, but we'll by the way, I saw you had the guy, was it the singer from the song, was it Whoop There It Is?
Yeah, DC, the Brain Supreme tag team.
I love that. No, that's amazing.
Yeah, that episode's cool coming out today, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw your clip. Amazing story. I love stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah. It's so much fun talking to these people and learning about what they went through and, the goods, the ups and the downs and everything in between. So.
Yeah. And just thank God for social media, because it allows us that access to them, because before you couldn't really reach out to them unless you really knew someone, right, close to them. Now, all you have to do is DM, email, and you may not get a response, but more often than not, you will. And you don't know until you try. That's really one thing I always tell myself.
Yeah.
Worst thing they could say is no, or they just ghost you. They don't say anything.
And that's fine too. But patience goes a long way with this too.
If you want to talk patience, again, going back to the Moffats, I've been DMing or messaging them for almost and not even just Moffats, of course, B44, which we've talked about previously. I'm still trying to get Ohad, because we both know the other two, it's not happening. And one of them did respond to me, which is nice.
Good.
Whether it was Dan or what was it or Ryan.
Ryan.
He did respond, DM me. He's like, yeah, thank you, but I'll pass. I'm like, that's all I need to hear. So
that's cool that they even
closure.
said something, you know. That, you know what, and they did the same with me too. They at least like said, hey, this is what we're up to now. Thanks for thinking of us, but we're not really in that place right now. So, you know, like it was really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So no, again, it's just great that we have this a little bit of connection to these people that we looked up to and that were a part of our lives, you know. And more often than not, pretty much all my experiences have been really positive. Like, you know, there's the expression, was it don't meet your idols or whatever. I get that. But I've been fortunate enough to have that all the people I've encountered have been really nice. Also, sorry, I gotta shout you out again because you interviewed Dave Benedict. I listened to the entire thing.
Oh, nice.
Dave's also great. And shout out Default, Robbie Hurricane, all his stuff.
Yeah.
And you know your stuff about Default. So kudos to you. So yeah.
I'm a big fan of theirs. So that part of it came pretty easy.
It's funny. Well, listening back to your podcast, talking about Default and just listening back to the music, and he has a very distinctive voice, which I really like. And so like you could tell right away when it's him, I feel like. So
yes.
Yeah, really good.
100% he does.
Anyways, S Club. No, I'm kidding.
S Club.
Totally different.
Did you have a favorite member of S Club?
Well, if we're talking attractive to, yes, of course. Come on. No. So I'll tell you two things. I was going to mention this. For me, it was Rachel. Rachel is beautiful, stunning. But then it's funny. I think a lot of people would agree with this is that Tina, she had this glow up. So Tina, she was always pretty, always good looking. But then she just got even more pretty and good looking as she grew up. And so that's nice. It's like
the girls are gorgeous. Yes.
They're all gorgeous.
And they've all aged very well.
They've all aged very, very well. The guys look great too. I'm not afraid to say that as well. John and Bradley. So yeah, and they just seem just really nice, down to earth. And I think you could tell again when you go to their shows and they talk to the audience, they're very appreciative of their fans and the people that have stuck by them, because again, it's tough. Like think about it, like again, starting from the late 90s to now, that's almost 30 years. Like if you can have a fan base for 2-3 decades, that's saying something, you know? So they're their music is, I think, will never die again because it's just so uplifting and positive. And they're amazing. So yeah.
Here's a story that I think more than 20 years later sounds ridiculous. In 2001, the guys of S Club were caught with weed in London, and they were cautioned by the police, released without any charges. They had to do a public apology, and all of these sponsors dropped them. I mean, Quaker Oats stopped talking to 19 Entertainment. The only ones that actually signed them on because of it was Pepsi. They signed a sponsorship deal with them that month. But all these other people dropped them. I don't think that would happen now. Who cares? It's just weed.
Well, that was in 2001.
Yeah.
So again, you have to remember that's 2001 when weed obviously wasn't legal anywhere, and it was still probably pretty stigmatized back then, I would say. I don't know. Honestly, I never really smoked weed that much. If my mom is watching, I never smoked ever. No, it's honestly never been part of my lifestyle overall. But that doesn't shock me, honestly, that brands would drop them. But the fact that Pepsi, that I don't know why. I'm curious. I would love to know the reasoning behind that. So that's kind of funny.
Maybe it's because they were getting a lot of attention at that time.
Yeah, probably. So maybe for them, it's like any publicity is good publicity, maybe, right?
Maybe.
But yeah, but that's the thing also, I don't connect them to weed, like, again, because it's a stigma. Well, not as much now again, but to me, they're very innocent and pure. So I could understand why brands would be upset with them who were associated or worked with them. I get it. But I wonder what other brands they were with back then. Probably like
it listed a few of them here. So BT, I don't know what that is. Let me see what it says on BT Group. Is a British multinational telecommunications company. Cadbury, they said they were disappointed in the band. They weren't mad. Upset. They were disappointed, but they kept their contracts. It was Quaker Oats that dropped them. And then there was a group called PMS, a merchandising company. They sued the group for 800,000 pounds, claiming that the drug scandal ruined its sales.
Oh,
it's lame.
I could swear, right, on this? No?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. I was just saying, say fuck off. Like, that's ridiculous. But anyways.
Yeah.
But no, like, yeah, they kept a pretty squeaky clean image. And from what I could think, or just thinking on my head, like, you never heard any scandals about them, I think. So
not really.
No, which is
they kept it pretty squeaky clean. And the thing is, there's so much expectations out of all of these groups when they were in their early 20s. They're just, they're discovering their adulthood. They're experimenting with stuff in life, just like we are. So to hold them to a different, standard is really unfair and difficult. But I guess people say, well, they made the money, they made the choice.
Sure. But again, like, people don't realize how difficult, like, even them, I feel like they were not older, but like maybe early 20s. But like most of these pop stars, they're starting in their teens, like mid-teens, late teens. I'm sorry. You think you can handle all that pressure, the limelight, the money? Like, just a quick example, like Justin Bieber. Sure, some of the things he did, like, I don't excuse them, but like when you're getting tens of millions of dollars, all that attention, everyone's telling you you're amazing, no one's telling you no. Yeah, I would do some dumb shit as well at that age. I'm sorry, like, it's not surprising. So
surrounded by yes men.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
nobody ever straightens you out because they're afraid to.
Of course. Well, yeah, because you're the cash cow. And literally, as I say cash cow, I think of if you remember with Nick and his brother, rest in peace, Aaron Carter. Did you ever watch the show, like House of Carter?
I did, yeah.
So there was, I remember a scene, I don't remember, but they were fighting. And then I remember Aaron kind of complaining to Nick about their parents. And I'm sure there's a lot about how their parents mistreated them. And I remember Aaron just screaming to Nick. He just kept saying, like, I'm the cash cow, or something, which is so sad.
That Aaron said to Nick?
I think he was saying it to Nick, or he was saying that maybe to one of the siblings, but I just remember him mentioning cash cow a lot because I think his parents saw that he was making a lot of money, and I'm sure they probably took advantage of him
they
and
exploited their kids. Yeah,
exactly, which is no surprise, unfortunately, in the industry. It's happened to many other artists. So it's tough. But again, I think things are slowly getting better just with, we progress as a society in every way. But yeah, it's sad. But again, all that considered, S Club overall, they were good. So,
and there was actually a reality show that came out of that called S Club Search, where they invited children to extend the S Club brand and audition to form a brand new squeaky clean younger version that ended up becoming S Club Juniors.
I want to say I watched or I heard of that a little bit, but I don't remember it at all, to be honest.
Not at all.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. It's like, would S Club, would that work now if they just dropped them in like 2024? I think so. I mean, obviously it'd just be a more current version, maybe somewhat different style of songs. I don't know. Is there like a comparative version of them in today's age? I can't think off the top of my head if you could think of one, but I don't know.
Not really. The only thing I can think of now that's group-wise that's successful are all the K-pop bands.
I was literally going to, like bubblegum pop, K-pop. Exactly. It's similar, I think. Yeah, exactly. So, but luckily, again, their music, S Club, and of course, all those songs and bands from the 90s, it still holds up to this day. And yeah.
Those songs still get stuck in your head. They still get played on some radio stations. I really like that Don't Stop Moving.
Don't Stop Moving is another super underrated song. It just makes you want to dance, makes you want to move. I could name you got one that I personally love that I think is very underrated and people tend to forget about. It's called Natural. That actually has a different sound. That is not bubblegum pop. It's a little more sensual. These like the kind of like the flute when you hear like kind of like in Egypt, like with the snake. It has that sound. It's
I like that.
The video is a little seductive, I guess. They're like on a beach just moving and dancing, and Rachel looks really good in that video. So
she did put out a solo album.
I did not know that.
I think you should go check it out now.
I should. Yeah, no, I want to say they probably most of them did solo either albums or at least a few songs. I know, I mean, Joe O'Mara, she was kind of the lead singer. very talented. So I'm sure she did some stuff. She did do some stuff on the side. Bradley, if you go on his Instagram, he does, I don't know if he does like DJing stuff, maybe production, I believe. Tina, I don't know if she's doing music on her own, but she has a family, I believe. So yeah, they all got their own, they're doing their own thing, but they still have this band. And I mean, I could say selfishly, it would be nice maybe to see Hannah come back at some point to reunite them at least. But whether that'll happen, who knows? It's up to her, obviously, at the end of the day. So yeah, we'll see.
Thank you so much, Jon. I have so much fun chatting with you about this stuff. It's
Of
always
course. No, well, I mean, who doesn't love talking about nostalgia? Like every time I tell people I'm going to talk to you or we're just talking in general, I'm like, yeah, it's like nostalgia. Come on, it's the best. So yeah, I have to ask you though, first of all, every time, how much closer are you to getting to talking to new kids? I know you met them in person. When are we getting the interview?
Okay.
Come on.
Who knows? It could happen.
Good luck. And I'm manifesting that shit for you. I hope it works out. I really do.
He likes the show.
So there you go. He has to do it.
Yeah. When we had the reunion of Perfect Gentlemen, which was a group that toured with New Kids quite a bit back in the big, 90s. Donnie knew all about the reunion on the show, and he talked to one of the members and said good things. So I was very happy to hear that he put in a good word for me. And yeah, I just absolutely adore Donnie Wahlberg and the whole group. So it's my bucket list dream. We'll keep working on it.
For sure. And by the way, I was pleasantly surprised when I interviewed Magic and Nasri and learned that he, of course, worked with them and produced his first big single that he produced or wrote song written for was Summertime.
Yes, that's a great track too.
Yeah, so that was like just a cool connection. I love those connections. The Canadian, I love that. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Magic. They write good music. So cool. Are they still based in Toronto?
No, they're in LA, which shocker. Everyone.
Don't they all go down there?
Except for Sean Desmond. He's still here now.
We love you, Sean. We'll get you on next. You got to get Sean.
Listen, all I could say is that he knows I'm interested. And he said, at the moment, not now, but if it happens, great. If it doesn't, life goes on,
And prayers that you get Nelly Furtado one day.
That's a whole other story. Yeah, she was just on a big podcast. Call Her Daddy. So anyways.
New album and everything. It's really good.
Yes. Anyways. Yeah. Who knows what she's going to do? A tour. That's probably what she'll do. So anyways, we'll see. But yeah, no, You're amazing. Thank you again for this.
So are you. Thank you. Just an update since the last time we talked to Jon. He literally, within a couple of weeks after doing this episode with me, got the interview with John Lee from S Club. So if you go to his social media, go check out John G. He's got on his Instagram and his TikTok page an interview with John Lee from S Club. That is the coolest shit ever. Congratulations, Jon. We're really happy for you.
Just luck or illusion. It's in the makeup of our DNA. It's not by chance we make the perfect solution. Don't fight it, baby. You know that it's just destiny's way. Baby, loving you comes easily to me. It's what I'm living for. It's all in the chemistry.
Social media, yeah, we've got it. Send us an email, dopenostalgiapodcast@gmail.com. Twitter, Nostalgia Dope. Or on Insta, dope_nostalgia.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work. Hey, friends. I kind of miss getting those messages on my answering machine like we used to back in the day. What I'd really love is to hear from you. the listeners of Dope Nostalgia. This is your chance to be on the show, giving feedback, telling us what you love, what you hate, and who you'd like to see more of. Call us at our new toll-free number, 1-888-741-9192. Leave us some feedback. Your message could be played on the show. So give us a call, 1-888-741-9192. Toll free.